Absolutely. I agree with you. Everything you said, 100%. And that's why my grandson lives with me, and he knows that B pluses are the lowest grade he can bring home. It just is. When my daughter was going to school, we were in Normal at the time, and by the time she got to high school, I had successfully brainwashed her into believing that, you're not done with school until you finish with college, right? You have to go to college. Well, that's what she believed. And then she went to high school in Normal, and she said what I had brainwashed her to believe. And she came home and said, Mom, no, the teacher told me after high school I can be done if I wanted to. I said, the teacher does not live here. In this house, you either go to college, or you work, or you live someplace else. At 17, she chose to live someplace else because she thought Mom was not serious. And she used to say to people, I'm her only child. Surely she would never ... At one point when she was in her 20s, I was managing the Hallmark store that was in Eastland Mall, so their largest store. And I hired her. And after a certain period of time, I brought her into my office and I said, you know what, her name is Selena. Selena, I really appreciate the fact that you've worked for me, and I'm really sorry that you're giving your 2-week notice. And she looked at me and said, no, I'm not giving my 2-week notice. Oh, yes, you are. You're giving your 2-week notice. Thank you so much for your contribution. And then she said, Mom, you're firing me. I'm like, no, I'm not. You're giving me your 2-week notice because I have certain levels of expectation. And you being my daughter, I said, when I hired you, I told you, people are going to know you're my daughter, and you can't cut any corners. There is no slack you can be given. You got to be better than everybody else. And you weren't. So thank you for playing. And she left. And people say to me, you fired your daughter, your only child. No, I didn't fire her. She quit. And when I was at State Farm, with people that were working for me, I said, I don't fire anybody. I don't. You fire yourself. Because when you come in, there's a certain level of expectation, and you agree to it for the amount of money we pay you, and if you don't meet that, you fire yourself. And so what you said about education, in my house, my grandson just moved back to Peoria, and every day he comes home, you probably know if you see the planners they come home with, and every day he has an A. And if you get an A all week, I reward you with cash. Not because I have to, but because, hey, I appreciate the fact that you understand what's important. And he says, well, one day he was sick, so he only came home with 4 A's, so he didn't get $5, he got $4. Well, I was sick, so I should still get $5. So I said, no, you didn't report to work. You were out of school that day. You only get $4. Because when you go to work, now we have sick pay at most jobs, but a lot of times you don't get paid. If you don't show up, you don't get paid. So at a young age, I'm teaching him responsibility. And now he's got a certain amount of money he wants to spend it. I'm like, no. At least half of that you have to put in a savings account. Well, this is my money. I should be able to do what I want. I said, okay, well, let's go with that. I buy you food. I buy you clothes. You stay here. You don't pay me anything for that. Give me some money for what I've been providing you. If you don't want to save it, then you start paying your own bill. Well, Mom, that's not fair. Well, life's not fair. And so, yes, I agree with you. C's are unacceptable, and we should not continue to allow them to be acceptable. And like I said, in my house, B pluses are the lowest grade you can come on, because if it's lower than B plus, then if you don't want me involved in your education, then you better be bringing home A's. I had a question back here.
So I participated in the local reading program at UWIN. And